You're welcome back to the show. You're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. And we have another conversation coming up. Our next conversation has got to do with the FSRP Gender Dialogue for Regional Interpersonal Bodies. It's coming up pretty shortly. And of course, you know, when we mentioned the FSRP, we're talking about the Food Systems Resilience Program, the West Africa Food Systems Resilience Program. And so we want to focus on what is coming up, which is the Gender Dialogue for Regional Interprofessional Bodies. And my guests in the studio for this discussion this morning, first of all, in the studio, we have Dr. Mariame Maiga. She is Regional General Advisor for the FSRP. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you here in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Yes, and also in the studio is Emelda Adii. She is environmental specialist and the Ghana gender focal person for the FSRP. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, great to have you here in the studio. So let's first of all begin by understanding exactly what the FSRP is about. Food resilience or Food Systems Resilience Program. What's all that about?
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, the Food System Resilience Program, FSRP, that we call FSRP, is a World Bank supported program implemented so far in 8 countries, including Ghana. So the program aims to contribute, to address, to respond to the impact of climate change on food security and nutrition security in the regions. So under FSRP, we work to facilitate the equitable, and this is very important, the equitable access to productive resources as lands, agric productive resources as lands, inputs, infrastructure, extension services, training, agricultural training, also climate information, irrigation services. So these are some of the key product resources, which is very important to boost food productivity so that we can meet the population food demand.
Right.
So FSRP, under FSRP, we develop a gender strategy that we are using in the countries. So far, each of the implemented countries has a national gender action plan. And this is also very important, just for us to facilitate this equitable access to needed resources for agri-food system value chain actors. And this is how we can boost food productivity to meet demand for food for the population.
So you mentioned gender,
yes.
right? So when you say gender, what exactly are you talking about in terms of, you know, what ECOWAS is, how ECOWAS is defining it?
I will say FSRP ECOWAS gender approach. What does it mean? What is? For us, the gender approach is key. Gender approach is a very important developmental tools that can really help us to foster inclusive and gender-responsive agri-food system to meet the goals, the objectives. So the gender approach that we are using is not a standalone approach. It's very important also to mention it. But the one we are using is a cross-cutting issue, meaning that these dimensions, gender and youth dimensions, should be reflected in any FSRP activities, operations, and projects. So it helps us to address the specific needs of men, women, but especially the most vulnerable group, the underprivileged, the social imaginary group. But this is how we can really boost food productivity. So gender aspects comes in, and for us in FSRP, it is a very, very important issues that we are really taking up.
So, I mean, when it comes to some of the challenges that women, you know, especially face when it comes to agri-practice, you know, and trade in our parts of the world, I mean, how real would you say these challenges are?
You know, regional trade plays a very important, key, a vital role in diversifying economies and also in reducing import of food commodities. But also it presents potential in terms of job and wealth creation for underprivileged women and youth. This is very important for us. But for some reason, especially because of gender barriers, women are facing some key challenges. So unless we work to address the challenges, we will not make it really to meet the expectation. So what are the challenges they are facing with? You know, ECOWAS has trade facilitation policies, instruments, tools, regulations that exist. Very nice document that. But women traders, most of women traders, they don't know about this instrument and this policy to take advantage. It is a problem. So number 2 challenge, women traders are faced, and we are talking evidence-based, with evidence-based. They are faced with sexual harassment, rape, sexual abuse. So these are also some of the challenges. Gender-responsive financing mechanism exists. But most of women traders, they don't know to take advantage. Also, at the borders, you will see that the infrastructure at the borders are not gender-friendly, meaning that they are not really addressing the needs of women when it's come to use toilet and also some of these infrastructure. We also have border information centers that exist, set up by ECOWAS. But it's, well, okay, it's run with various committees, but women are not very much involved in the committees. So these are some of the challenges that they are faced with. And so jeopardizing to this extent efforts to foster inclusive intra-regional trade, to make sure that we really have for instance, the Interprofessional, which are regional network, involved in agri-food system, value chain, and intra-regional trade, that they can really facilitate, we can help them to facilitate trade, to take food commodities from a country to another. This is how we can boost food availability within the country, I mean, across the region.
So, I mean, in helping to deal with some of these challenges, you know, what are the very sustainable plans or sustainable measures that are being taken to ensure that, you know, especially the women are able to surmount these challenges that you enumerate? Thank you so much.
You know, this is why we are here. We organize the gender training for the interprofessional bodies. Right. And as I said, these are regional bodies involved in agri-food value chain and intra-regional trade. These are very important networks. Now, we convene them to this workshop, for this gender training workshop, so that they know about the importance of addressing these dimensions in the various activities. It's very important. So we started with providing them with gender approach, strategy, and tools to facilitate the integration and cooperation of this dimension in the activities. Right. They work on the action plan, and they also even work to develop a gender action plan specific to the interprofessional bodies. So at the end of the day, we want to facilitate, for instance, and for your information, I would like to take this opportunity to thank very much on behalf of ECOWAS and FSRP, the region who is leading the regional coordination of FSRP, to thank very much FAO. They came with a strong team to help us to conduct this training. So the interprofessional bodies had opportunities to learn a lot of things. Right. For instance, gender responsive financing mechanism exists, but most of them didn't know that. So now with FAO, we'll work to see how they can access some of these, take advantage of some of these opportunities. So also at the ECOWAS level, it is planned to organize some training for interprofessionals to learn about the instrument, ECOWAS trade facilitation, policies, instruments, tools, and regulations. So we have a series of activities that will help us to address the key challenges with collective action. Okay. You keep on mentioning interprofessional bodies, yes, right? So what are these interprofessional bodies and how do they, you know, impact the agri-practice and trade in the West African sub-region? Okay. Thank you very much. The interprofessional bodies, like, okay, they work, each interprofessional bodies work on specific food commodities. Like we have interprofessional bodies working on meat, on animal production, meat, livestock and meat, on milk, on rice, on maize, on cereals. You see some of these key food commodities that we are consuming in the region. So they are organized with the support also of ECOWAS.
Right.
Yes, they are the one. So, as I said, they play a very important role for us. Why? Because they are the one transporting food commodities, agro-food product from a country to another. And then what we are working to make sure that they will strengthen the capacity and support them with other needed technical support to make sure that they will contribute to boost food availability across the region. That's the issue.
Right. So let's talk about FSRP Ghana, right? And, you know, how FSRP Ghana is integrating gender issues in the implementation, you know, of this project.
Thank you very much. FSRP Ghana is part of the regional program, as she mentioned. It's in the second phase of the program. We actually are working under the advice of CORAF with the regional gender person here. So we, in Ghana here, have a focal system where we are working closely with our advisors to create a gender action plan.
Right.
So the gender action plan would be implemented by 40 focal persons in our implementing partners institutions. So these people have been trained, equipped with all the skills and all the tools to be able to integrate gender in all of their activities. I must say that the Ghana components are 5. We have 5 major components. Component 1 is digital advisory services for agri and food systems, crisis prevention. So under this component, we have to ensure that as they give out advisory services, women are well catered for. Instruments and technologies that ensure that women can easily access this information should be incorporated in every step of the digital system space they are creating. Right. The second component is the sustainability and adaptive capacity for productive-based systems. When I talk about this, I'm talking about the systems that help us produce food in a more sustainable way. So if we are producing food and not thinking of the future, then we are going to spoil every base system that support food system. So we are looking at research, how to facilitate research into commodities that are going to be long-lasting. And so women would have to be involved in the development of these commodities in the area of seed. We're talking about irrigation systems. These infrastructures have been developed over years. Some are not gender-friendly. We are going to modernize some of them, and we will be incorporating all the gender dynamics in the infrastructure systems. Also, we will have regional trade facilitation and harmonization. So we're looking at ways to incorporate gender in all of the trade systems. And that's why we are in this workshop today. So in this workshop, we would supply all our focal persons with this knowledge that we are getting through here. And the interprofessional bodies that we are working with are currently participating also. Right. And so we would ensure that the women are taking through all the opportunities they can get from all the levels of support that is available for interprofessional bodies. You know, these bodies are recognized by government and they actually help in elaborating policies, and they help in the integration